Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Data Play series in my YouTube channel. This is Soumyajit, and I have been discussing about many topics. The latest video was about data profiling. Please do check my video, and I think the starters at least can get a lot of information, including the intermediate experienced guys. Without further ado, let's begin. Today's topic is a short topic, in fact, and it's about data quality. As a 8.5 years experienced guy, the technique that I follow or the metrics that I follow for checking the data quality is the CACV technique, which is completeness, consistency, accuracy, and validity. Well, data quality is all about investigation and showing it to the end customers or showing it to the application managers that or the data owners that this is the problem and we need to act on it. For example, completeness. There is a table in the database, and there are in the application there is some problem happened, and the data is not getting appended in the table, so there are blanks. So blanks, empty values means blanks or empty, then the null values, or there is records missing also. So that is all about completeness. Then consistency is more about whether the records are available or not, or suppose for example a whole set of equipment data is missing for a certain period, then the data is not consistent then. And also in one database there are 1200 records, there are 100 records, and in the other database it should be the duplicate, but there are 90 records, so the two sources are not consistent then. Accuracy is like whether the data is correct or not, which means that rather than a date timestamp, there is only date present there, the timestamp is missing. That is about accuracy. And validity is like, for example, number of customers or number of vehicles. There are 200 vehicles in one database, which is true, but in the other database there is like 100 vehicles. Then another 100 vehicles are not appended yet. So the two sources are also not consistent, as well as this source table is not valid. Then we have only one correct valid source table then. So these are the techniques which I follow for, that is the CACV technique for data quality. And already I made a video out of it, but then today is like a elaborate discussion. Okay, so my playlist will consist of data profiling video. Now this video is about data quality, and the next is the data cleansing parameters, cleansing techniques, and the knowledge gained from data profiling and quality will be used for identifying the problem in data cleansing, and then the other techniques will be applied for cleaning the data and make it fit for modeling or reporting, etc. And today's focus is on answering if a data meets a certain standard, data quality. Data profiling is identifying, and data quality means then, based on the identification, then evaluating whether it means a certain standard or not. But that is subjective also, because it depends on the business requirement. Some business will say we want 100%. Some business unit will say no, we 90% is also okay for us to work with it. And it depends on the business also. This slide I already presented in my data profiling video, where I analyze the CACV technique versus the data profiling. So I will skip on this one, and you guys already know what both the thing means. Okay, then a new guy walks into the company, and he is being asked to present or to create a report on based on the data source table from a certain database. Then the first thing that what the guy should do is whether to do a data profiling and check whether the data is okay or not, to know, get a bit of a test of the tables in the database, and then kind of get a feel out of it. After then he or she can already start kind of evaluating the tables there, that is applying the CACV technique. And then I have added here the U, that is uniqueness, means identifying the duplicates, as a kind of add-on on onto my CSV technique, to know that okay, so there are duplicates, then yeah, I have to do something in the Power BI report to remove the duplicates, something like that. So then, and then the report means the idea is that the report should be correct. So then yeah, CSV technique could be applied. So today the tools that I'm going to use is SQL, and not Excel, not Python, only SQL, because I think the same things can also be done in if you, it's just that to have an idea of how I do the CSV technique, and then you guys are intelligent enough. Well, in a table, uh, there are different columns, and each column has data in it, and each data has its own state. And what do I mean by state is that, for example, a state can be that in the column there are null values present, null data points, and then the state can be that there are empty or blanks present. Then the state can be that there are non-null values, which are like the data is there, and then the default values, which means maybe the creator of the database guy would have mentioned that if or a case and a when statement, that when there is a blank, or when there is the length of the string is less than 2, then by default put a certain string in it, or that like a default value in case of null or empty, or less than the size of the string, or less than default size of the data. In that case, yeah, these are the states that we can have in the table itself. And then accordingly, just keep in mind that these are all the states that you have to take into consideration during data quality measures implementation. And as a note, when you implement a count statement or a count function in SQL, then the count cannot distinguish between null and the empty. It will count both as one, not zero. So that is a thing to be remembered when executing or checking, or even you're writing the codes. Okay, Excel, no, I'm not going to use Excel because for me it's boring. So I'm using SQL Server Studio Management, and here I have already made a code where, for example, this is a database I have, and I have a lot of tables here. And then what I am doing is that I am checking the data quality, means I'm doing a data profiling of these three tables, that is addressee final, which is this table, then SSBA ATTR, which is this table, and staging swab abrek. Maybe I will take this one. Let me take this one. Okay, now I want to see how many empty values, how many null values, and how many distinct, and what is the count of the total. I've written a code. I am not showing the whole code. You guys have to ask me in the comment for the full code, so then I can share with you guys. But then if no one is asking, then it's not worth to share anything, because I spent some time in creating this code, and yeah, so it's my hard work. So then you guys have to really ask me, and that will give me confidence that okay. As you can guys can see is that um, let me let me just still executing the query. So the third one, staging SSDG handle, is still running. What we can already see is that the table name is addressee final, and then each it is calculating the distinct. For example, this one, and if I open it, then we can already see address ID. The number of distinct data points in address ID is this much. Then I am also counting the nulls. The number of nulls is 0, and number of empty is also 0. And if I want to see the total number of records, it is 7958. So 7958, if it is distinct 7958, then obviously 0 and 0. The distinct count is 5520, null count is 4, 139, and the empty count is 4. So there are duplicates also we can see here. So then here, as you can see, it is already giving us an ID that there are empty counts and there are duplicates and there are null counts also. So accordingly, when I'm preparing the report in Power BI, I will filter out the duplicates, and yeah, accordingly I will write my code. As you can already see, this one is done, and accordingly you will get all the means I have executed all the elements, all the column names, and accordingly I'm getting result out of each column name. So this is how I will know that in what way I have to create a report. If I have to build a star schema, I will also know that. If I have to build a model, also these things will help me in identifying what things I have to take into account during my code, so that I don't run into because if I do a left join with the duplicates, then and then the resultant table will also have a lot of compounded duplicates. So that is already a scenario that okay guys, we have to take we'll be very careful with other duplicates, and then accordingly write our statements so that we don't run into trouble. Okay, so that is what I want. As I told you guys that this is a short video, and yeah, data profiling and data quality are the first basic step that one has to know before starting or before diving deep into the reporting part or creating a model, etc., etc. I hope I shared some knowledge with you guys, and do like and subscribe, and do remember that being a data engineer is not difficult, but being a good data engineer, that is difficult, because you have to know all these small things to be at par with a lot of good developers then. Okay, have a nice day guys, and we'll see each other in the next video.